Hey, how's it going, guys? So this is a video that I wanted to make for a long time, but I just thought I never had the quantity to justify making this. But now I'd say I do. I have a huge collection of foreign, domestic, action, drama, romance, there's anything you could think of really. And I'm really happy to show it to you guys. I don't have this organized in any particular order. I just moved and I'm still, I'm still organizing all of these things, but it's more or less grouped together by director and or genre. So yeah, no particular order. Let's go. First up, I have the Lord of the Rings extended and theatrical 4K, and then also the Hobbit trilogy, which I actually like as well. The third one is kind of weak. It's not terrible. I wouldn't say it's a lot better than some of the other, just awful stuff that's coming out now. But I think the first two are pretty solid films. Obviously, there's things wrong with it, but I think they're solid, like action, adventure, fantasy movies. I think the character of Bilbo is really good, and I also really like Thorin. But yeah, this, I mean, I don't really know what to say about this that hasn't already been said. Just I guess I rewatched this about a week or two ago. And I think what stood out to me the most was the sort of inspiration that I noticed from the real world, and Tolkien really draws from that pre-Roman, pre-Norman history of Britain, and you could definitely hear it in the names like Thranduil and well, you know the deal, like Minas Morgul and all that. It has that kind of Celtic, poetic sound to it that I think is really cool. So yeah, these are some of my favorite. Up next, I have my Kubrick collection. Let's see, I have Clockwork Orange. This one I think is really insightful in its depiction of mind control. And the nature of like the whole, like moneyed elite and keeping things in control and with the propaganda and the mind control. I could do an analysis of this someday. I think it's excellent. And then I have, let's see, Paths of Glory. I actually don't like this one very much. I'm probably gonna give it away. If you guys watched the last podcast, it kind of runs into the whole, like, it's just trying to debunk mean, evil, ugly corporate Republican man, which you can do well, but it has the whole, like, the church, like the Catholic Church is like mean, evil, ugly corporate Republican man too, and that's not it. Yeah, honestly, I think this is one of Kubrick's weaker films. Next up, Barry Lyndon. I have not seen this, but I've heard good things about it. It seems like a movie I'd like, about the kind of Irish-English class warfare and whatnot. I think that stuff is great. Like Downton Abbey, I think is really good and has a lot of that commentary in it. So yeah, I'll check this one out in the future. The Shining, excellent. And I think you guys should watch Jay Dyer's analysis of this one, and all of Kubrick's films for that matter, because it just makes you realize that like a lot of the normie theories about this movie is just totally like, what are they talking about? Like aliens and all this stuff. Like it's just, and I talked about this in my episode with Jason about this. It's literally just about elite, PEDOs going into their lodges in Colorado and committing satanic sex rituals. And it's just exposing the American and the broader Western elite and their decadence and malevolence. And then last but not least, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Really just, wow. I don't even really know what to say about it. I think it's excellent. It's one of obviously the best made movies ever. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite, but in terms of just objectivity, like just thinking of what movies do I think are not necessarily my favorite, but the best, I think this one would definitely be in the best category. I don't have Eyes Wide Shut, even though I really want to get that. And I don't have like Lolita or Full Metal Jacket. I haven't even seen, actually. Now that's probably, from what I've heard, that is a good critique of Mean, Evil, Ugly Corporate Republican Men. But we'll see. Here I have some box sets. So right here is, currently watching this, I haven't finished it. Sopranos complete series, really, really good. I did a stream, well, Jeem did a stream, it's not my stream. And we did an analysis of this. We should go watch that. It's on my channel, I could link it. And then I have, let's see, Bruce Lee collection. I thought this looked kind of cool. I think I got a deal on it. I've really only seen Enter the Dragon and Fist of Fury. Some of the other ones I don't have. Like it has The Big Boss, The Way of the Dragon, and Game of Death. I don't think I've ever seen any of those, but they're fun, you know, martial arts movies. It is what it is. And then I have the Harry Potter complete series on 4K and Blu-ray. Very good. I like this series quite a bit. And I am in a minority of Catholics that like this for some reason, which actually surprised me, because growing up, I thought this story was deeply Catholic. And I still think, not some parts of it I think aren't, but the core of it really, with the message of self-sacrifice, motherly sacrifice, and just not giving in to the spirit of the times, I think is really good. Like the Weasleys really embody that. And like they have all those kind of traditional Catholic values, the Weasleys. Like they're a big family. Their father works really hard for them, and he could spend the money on having some stuff he doesn't need, but instead he spends it on his family, and that's why they have this nice, loving family. And Ron grows up with all his brothers, and he just, you know, he's a much well-rounded person, much more well-rounded person than like Draco Malfoy. He's like the ivory tower elite kid who doesn't have any siblings, and I think deep down he kind of does, and he feels jealous of the Weasleys. Yeah, maybe we'll talk about Harry Potter more in the future. And then I have my personal favorite films of all time, The Godfather. I love the first one. I think I actually like the second one a little better. I love the stuff in Sicily and when young Don Corleone is in New York, and I love those flashbacks. I think they're incredible. I love the Cuba plot line. And it also has a lot more Catholicism in it, which the first one does, but I think the second one has more of it, and it's really, it's more prevalent in the movie, and I think it's more overt, not in the sense that it's like obvious or whatever, like it's not a Catholic film per se, but I think the elements, the story elements are really there. And actually, I think what's really cool is the third one probably has the most, like, you know, Catholic just elements in the story. Even though I like the third one not as much as the first two, I still think it's really good. Other than like the weird cousin stuff, I think it's a pretty solid film, and I think illustrates a lot of the, you know, the stuff that has tragically happened in the past, you know, like 50 years or so or whatever it was. But yeah, the Catholicism with Michael and him having to confess, and it was like a real conviction and whatnot. And you see that there's like the two churches. There's the true church, and then there's the church that's trying to, you know, there's the people that are trying to destroy the church from within. And I think that was really, really well handled. If you're a Catholic, I think you'd definitely like these movies if you haven't watched them already. And the last of my collections, well, not including The Lord of the Rings, but whatever, Samurai Jack, the complete series. I kind of consider season 5 like a different show than the first 4 seasons. And I think that's fair to do. Maybe other people have done that. The first season, sorry, the first 4 seasons, like the original show, it has some like maybe 5 to 10 like really solid episodes that are worth watching. But the vast majority of it, while I really like the animation and there's lots of good stuff in it, I think a lot of it's just filler, which kills me to say because I love Tartakovsky. He's one of my favorite directors. But I think the experience that you get in Samurai Jack, even in like the really solid episodes, I think you get better in his other works like Star Wars Clone Wars, which I have that actually right there, and you know, Primal and whatnot. But season 5, Samurai Jack, that is one of the best things in the history of animated television ever. That story is so good, so powerful. I love how they handled the story in a really mature, like wise way. I thought it was really good. So check this out if you haven't. I recommend. There's a couple things, like in the first 4 seasons, there's probably some guides that'll tell you, okay, these are the things that are actually important, the important characters, important kind of things, and the funny, famous jokes that are there to understand and prepare you for season 5. But season 5 is just like on another level. It's incredible. So, yeah. Now here I have the films I have of my 2 favorite directors, Alejandro González Iñárritu and Alfonso Cuarón, and some just random movies that happen to be here, partially by choice, partially by not. Here I have the Criterion Collection, Amores Perros by Alejandro González Iñárritu. This is in my top 10. This is one of, like, in terms of quality too, I think this movie is incredible. I think it's important for like through the lens as like a Mexican, and just seeing certain elements of ancient Mexico and how it relates to modern Mexico is really, really insightful. And you see this part of Mexico City that's really good, and you see this part that's really bad. But it's interesting, like it's not like, it is this kind of class thing, but it's also like you just see these two three characters actually, because it's 3 different storylines and how they interconnect. And it's just, I don't know, it just does this like completely new thing. It's incredible what it does. It's really, really unique. And then it also is a really good illustration of, you know, the importance of a 2-parent household, and just the ways in which the characters in the movie suffer from absent fathers, right? And you just see like the poverty and chaos that it creates, not having a father, or not having a father in the home and not having a mother in a home, and just like not completing our parental responsibilities. And just the dialogue is great. I love the characters, so much personality. The soundtrack is fantastic. This movie is a 10 out of 10 easily. Now right here I have The Mission, which I don't know who it's directed by. It's let me see, Roland Jaffe, no clue, but it's Robert De Niro, Jeremy Irons. This is actually, I think this movie does a really good job of showing the honest depiction of Spanish and Portuguese colonialism through the lens that I was looking through, and I talked about in our previous episode about Spanish colonialism last week, how that there was this conflict all the time between the secular authorities of Spain and Portugal and the actual Catholic Church and the priests and the monks and the missionaries that were there, and in terms of their relationships with the indigenous peoples. And I think this movie really brings that to light, and I think gives a really accurate, well, I guess honest depiction, because I know I think it's fictional, but yeah, and then you see like that it's not that the priests are all like innocent, right? You see like some of the priests go along with it, and then some priests don't, like Robert De Niro, who his character I think is really well done and reminds me of like a Saint Ignatius of Loyola type man. And Jeremy Irons, I like him in everything. He really shines here as a priest, and it has a lot of nuanced answers to like what is it, like consequentialism and like formal cooperation and a lot of these like hyper specific moral issues. And yeah, no, this movie is definitely worth the watch. Let's see, next up, 12 Angry Men, Sidney Lumet. This movie is really, really good. Obviously, the dialogue, there's nothing that has been said about it that I can add to because it's already been talked about. I guess what I can say about this movie, I guess just off the top of my head, without trying to copy anyone else, which unfortunately I do that a lot, and I shouldn't, but I think what's so awesome about this movie is it has no action in it, yet it feels like it's 15 minutes. It's so gripping and entertaining, and the suspense in it, there's nothing else like it. Well, at least from the movies I've seen. Yeah, so I think people should watch this one too. All right. Her, I haven't actually seen this since I was in high school, and I liked it then. I thought it was quite good. I think I'd have to watch it again. I can't remember anything I had wrong with it. Yeah, I guess I'd have to watch it again. I'll probably like it again, and I should watch it again. Amadeus. This is one of my all-time favorite films. This is also in the top 10. Also, this is one of the best posters ever, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. Yeah, just the set design alone, I think, I could just watch the movie without the music and the dialogue and the acting, which is already incredible, and I could still just be wowed by all of the sets of that time in Vienna during that, I think it was like the late Baroque and getting into the classical, I think it was, and just the garments and the operas, and you see the emperor and his court and all of that stuff, and it's a really good tale. I think it's a clever way to sort of obviously there's controversy about the historical accuracy. I don't really care because I think it's just really well done, and I think it's a good lesson to learn about envy and to not get worked up about someone who's better at you than something, because that'll always be the case, right? And some people, are just better than other people. And I think you could do what Salieri does in this movie, where he's bitter about it his whole life and dies miserable, or just accept the fact that he's not as good as Mozart, and maybe God made him for other things. So, yeah, and it's just Vienna, the music, Mozart, that's everything I love. It has a lot of Catholicism in it, so gets points for that too. Let's see, next up, There Will Be Blood. Really, really good movie. I think really good, showing the sort of two dominant competing powers in America, that of the snake oil pastor, or snake oil Protestant pastor, and the evil oil man. And I think its music is really unique. I think there's nothing else like it. I love the way it's shot. obviously I love Daniel Day-Lewis's character in it. It's so like just the psychology of it is so deep and so gripping and interesting. And I love its commentary on like the nature of, you know, con men and snake oil salesmen and just this sort of like specter that was haunting America at that time. And I think it still kind of does. Yeah, and also good way to critique mean, evil, ugly corporate Republican man. And it also relates to, you know, like the Rockefeller type stuff. And just a lot of the stuff that goes on abroad today with the foreign policy, with what we do in Latin America and whatnot, and other parts of the world too, right? Yeah, great film. I don't have any other Paul Thomas Anderson, even though in fact, I don't even think I've ever seen any of his other movies, but I should. Oh, and for Amadeus, Milos Forman. I have seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I think it's excellent, but I don't have the DVD. Now, here's my Alfonso Cuarón collection. I have Gravity. I mean, it's a visual and technical masterpiece, but doesn't really go beyond that. I couldn't even remember what the movie was about, what the characters were, other than Sandra Bullock and what's it, George Clooney. Maybe I'll watch it again. Probably not. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I know I have the Harry Potter collection, but I still had this when I got that, so I figured I'd just keep it with the Cuarón canon. Yeah, this movie is great. I'd rather talk about it more in a whole, like a Harry Potter series analysis. It has the best score, cinematography of all of the Harry Potters. I like how he draws on, I love how Alfonso Cuarón draws on like that Shakespearean, like harpsichord Baroque-ish England, which was a really interesting time because it was right after like the Reformation, and there was still lots of actually closet Catholicism. Shakespeare himself was a closeted Catholic. But yeah, and I really like the score with the instruments he uses. Like it really brings out that like English flavor, which I'm not saying the other movies don't. I think they do. I just think this one is unique in that regard, and I love it has the best in almost all of the things that are in almost every Harry Potter movie. Like I love Buckbeak. I love the wonder you feel in the movie, and then also the really almost horror elements of the movie that are in it, like with the werewolf and the Whomping Willow and the Grim. Like there's some stuff in the movie that's actually quite terrifying, and it does a lot of that really well with this sort of gloomy, just dreary stuff, but that it still has like the happiness in it. Like what Dumbledore says, happiness can be found in the darkest of times if one remembers to turn on the light, which I think is very true. I really love the character of Dumbledore. I think I actually might talk about this more in depth in the future. Next up, this is actually not Alfonso Cuarón, but his brother Carlos Cuarón, Rudo y Cursi. Really good Spanish language film about these two brothers from rural Mexico that they're picked up by this scout, this sort of snake oil Argentine like guru type soccer scout who gets them to play in the big leagues, and it's a really good look into fame and fortune and what is it really worth and amount to if you lose, your soul, your possessions even, which, I mean, obviously you can gain too many possessions or whatnot, but you see what I'm saying. Like the point is you can lose everything and you can be estranged from your family and whatnot. And I love the conflict between the two brothers and whatnot. Also, it has the familiar faces like Don Neto from Narcos is in it. This is a really fun movie too. Yeah. Oh, and it's also probably one of my favorite sports movies. Now, Children of Men. Fantastic dystopian outlook on the future. I really like the concept of that, like we forgot how to procreate just because of how industrial and just mechanized and technologically advanced we've become. Yeah, and it's just, I remember watching this for the first time and just thinking, like, how did they do that with the special effects and all that? It's a tour de force in filmmaking, and the story, I think, is on par with the filmmaking. I think it's fantastic. This is easily like an 8, 9 out of 10. Yeah, great. Roma. This is one of my favorite movies of all time, probably in the top 10, if not at least the top 20. Really nice look into like the 70s Mexico. I think its shot composition and cinematography is obviously beautiful, and I really like the characters. And as I understand, this is kind of a like this is Alfonso Cuarón more or less telling his story, but maybe I'd have to look into that a little more. So relaxing, so dreamlike, great soundtrack and atmosphere. Yeah, and also absent fathers, gotta watch out for that. And I like how this movie shows how the sexual revolution was not good for anybody, you know? So, yeah, it's a great, great movie. Probably a masterpiece, honestly. Some scenes that just make your jaw will drop. Y Tu Mamá También. I know a lot of people would be surprised that I like this movie, but I do, because there's just something about Alfonso Cuarón and Alejandro González Iñárritu's films that there's such this unique feeling that, like, you're just watching real life. It's just something crazy. And I mean, I would say otherworldly. Well, it kind of is. Like, it's almost ethereal, and then is just normal, real world stuff. And that's what I like about these the flavor in these Latin American films. And Jason actually pointed out that too, that there's something about these films that it blends this like ethereal, otherworldly atmosphere with like the sorry, the door was I thought the door was gonna open, and the sort of just everyday common just generic life. And a lot of the dialogue in the film just feels like things that people would just really say. Like, it doesn't feel forced. Like, it doesn't feel like you're watching like a narrative or something. Like, this feels like a story somebody would tell, just like at a anything really. Yeah, lots of personality, lots of just lots of goofy fun, and the shots are incredible. It's a nice journey. It's yeah, no, I really like this movie. Now here is the last part of this collection is the AGI films, Alejandro González Iñárritu films. I have the Revenant. This is one of those movies that's surprisingly relaxing and kind of puts you to sleep, despite all of the, not saying that's a bad thing, I'm saying like in a good way. Really atmospheric. Yeah. Then I have Birdman, borderline schizophrenic, as one of my friends that I showed it to said. Doesn't mean it's not good. I think it has a lot of good to say about this sort of, hustle and pick yourself up by your bootstraps kind of culture, and just, trying to prove something when in reality, like, no one cares. I think this movie, it really illustrates that well. And it's a unique style. I really like how it's directed. I like the way other movies are made, but I think because of what it's going for, it's really bold, and I have to respect it for that. Michael Keaton and Edward Norton are really good in it. Biutiful, a very, very sad, somber film, but I like that it kind of, like the other movies, but I think to even a higher extent, it blends the supernatural and the natural, but it kind of goes more in the supernatural realm, and it's kind of inexplicable, which I like. I like how it doesn't allude to this, soft magic or hard magic universe, and where you learn about all the, like, I don't want a cinematic universe out of this. Like, I like it how it still feels grounded and based in reality, and it's just everyday people. Javier Bardem's obviously excellent in this. Babel. This is a really solid movie. I don't know, something about it. I like Iñárritu's other movies, like Amores Perros, The Revenant, and Biutiful. I still think it's great. I love the the trifecta of the storylines, where one's in Mexico, one's in Morocco, one's in Japan. Like, it feels like, I don't know, it's just something about it. It feels like it could be it's a Hispanic movie, it's a Moroccan movie, and it's a Japanese movie, and it's an American movie. I like how all those plots intersect. Yeah, great fun stuff. Like, each storyline I think is really good. It's not like where one's just kind of not that good or boring. I think all the storylines are really fun and just different, and it's unique in that regard, where there are movies that have multiple storylines, but in these ones I feel like it has like the diversely different settings and the characters, and they deal with different struggles, and it's really surprising how this was able to be wrapped up into a cohesive story and film, and I have to commend it for that. Now, this is just the standard Blu-ray copy I have of Amores Perros. I already talked about this. And then 21 grams, also unique. Like I said, there's just something about these movies that, like, even the lesser ones, the ones that I don't like as much, I guess, like this one, I don't know, it still is great. Like, there's just, these movies are like all great. I think they're all great. I haven't seen a single one of these except Gravity, I guess, but that's not I don't know. You know what I mean, in the Iñárritu Cuarón kind of canon. Yeah, this movie's really good. I do like the setting. I think it's interesting and telling. It's just this kind of unrecognizable, just whatever average, American wasteland. And there's a lot of good commentary on them. The characters, I think, are really good here too. Yeah, so that's that. Next, I have my, it looks like Scorsese and two Damien Chazelle films. First off, I have Silence. I really like this. I really like the look of this movie. The ending, even though I don't agree with the sort of moral conclusion, I think it did it pretty well. It was pretty tasteful. I think I should watch it again to give my final thoughts on it. It would have been better if the movie was in Portuguese, because a lot of times being in English it's distracting. That's also probably the only gripe I have with Amadeus, but I don't know. It gives the movie a whole different feel. Well, I'll have to rewatch it. Next up, Raging Bull. Really like how it kind of demonstrates the sort of man who's insecure about his masculinity and whatnot. I really think the Red Pill Bros and all those type of people would probably like to watch this, and they'll learn a few things from it. I'm not a Red Pill Bro or anything like that, but yeah, no, it looks incredible. I love the black and white. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think this was actually the first movie that, like, okay, we're in the era where we're past black and white, so we don't have to make films in black and white anymore, but it filmed it in black and white as just like to look cool. I think this was actually the first movie to do that, but correct me if I'm wrong. Next, Taxi Driver, masterpiece. I don't know what else to say about this movie. The way it's shot is so atmospheric. It's so engaging. Travis is just a really relatable character. I think especially with all the sort of meme stuff now. And I know a lot of the normies think that this is like that Travis's whole mission to rescue Domino and all that is disingenuous. No, I think it really is. I really think you'd have to see it again through, you know, the different lens. Yeah, I really love this movie. Ooh, next up of my Scorsese, the last of my Scorsese is Last Temptation of Christ. I remember when I watched it, I really, really loved it, but that's when I hadn't fully accepted the Catholicism. It was kind of from that like anti, you know, sticking it to mean, evil, ugly corporate Republican man kind of lens, right? But I mean, yes, obviously the premise of the film is blasphemous. I'd have to watch it again to give my definitive thoughts, but yeah, I guess I don't really know what else to say about it. Now I have two of Damien Chazelle's films. I think he has 3 or 4. La La Land, great homage to the sort of old Hollywood and old Broadway, you know, era of film and theater, right? The soundtrack is great. I really like the characters, the whole aesthetic of that timeless LA vibe. It makes me want to go to LA actually, which I haven't been there since when I was a kid, and I don't really remember it, frankly. But yeah, no, it gives a really, really solid case for LA and the endearment of it. Yeah. This is fantastic movie. I like its meta commentary on Hollywood without being conspiratorial, which I'm not saying that I'm anti-conspiracy, that's not the case, but I just think this film presents a sort of microcosm of Hollywood and a commentary on Hollywood, but through a different lens, if that makes sense. Now, First Man is my other Damien Chazelle film. This one, I really liked it. I remember when I watched it, I thought the shot composition and the cinematography was incredible. It's incredibly beautiful. But I don't really remember anything else of it. I'm not gonna write it off. I think I just have to watch it again. Next up, I have my Oriental films collection, a mix of Japanese, Chinese, Korean, and even some Indian. So, first up, I have 3 Outlaw Samurai. I thought this was good, fun, but honestly, I don't even remember it. Story from Chikamatsu. This was really not that good. Obviously, the filmmaking was great, but the story was terrible of just like, oh no, the mean, evil, ugly corporate Republican man is out to get us, and they won't let us remarry after divorce and blah, 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 but okay. There's more to it than that. I might do an analysis of it, but it was whatever. House. This is really, you know, just nuts. Like, is it good or bad? I don't even know. It's just so bizarre. And for that, I give it the seal of approval. Next, I have this Samurai Trilogy. Never watched it. You can see that a lot of these I've got just for the street cred. Not to say that I don't like a lot of them. Sword of Doom. This is in my top 20 all-time favorites. Just excellent, excellent view into nihilism. You know, just the sort of Nietzschean Ubermensch mentality and why it's destructive and why it's evil, right? Yeah, this movie is just incredible. The sword play, the action sequences are incredible. Even the characters are really well written. The whole atmosphere, the costumes, everything, incredible. This is a 10 out of 10. I highly recommend watching it. Tampopo. This was recommended to me by a colleague of mine I haven't watched it, but he showed me some clips of it. It looks pretty fun. Just two men, one of them being Ken Watanabe, going throughout Japan looking for the perfect bowl of ramen. I'll definitely give this a watch in the future. Ikiru, I got this on a deal actually with Tampopo. Haven't watched this, but I've heard it's a good movie. It's Kurosawa, so I assume it's good. Then we have Kurosawa's Throne of Blood. This movie, very, very good. I know it's Japanese Macbeth, but that doesn't matter. It's awesome. The cinematography is great. Acting, great. Action, great. Everything about this movie is great. It's just one of those movies where, you know, like I said, like Sword of Doom, we're just in every single category. Fantastic. Yeah, this is probably a 10 out of 10. I'll give it a rewatch just to confirm that rating. And then last but not least, I have Seven Samurai. I haven't actually seen this movie. I remember I started watching it on a sick day, but then I just turned it off 10 minutes into it and started watching something else. I don't really remember why. So then it was bad. So can't give any commentary on this movie. Yep. And then next up, I know this isn't technically an Indian movie, but like the first half of it takes place in India, so I count it. Life of Pi is a very good commentary, I think, for secular people and normies to kind of get them out of the sort of programming that they have and attitudes they have towards, religion, spirituality, metaphysics, and whatnot. It'll just kind of get them into the pipeline from, okay, this all the way to Catholicism. So, yeah, I really like the actor in it. What's his name? Suraj Sharma. Yeah, this was the first movie he was ever in. He's incredible. Every time I watch this, his performance gives me goosebumps, and I'm serious about that. Obviously, the special effects on the tiger is just unbelievable. That's my rule, is that anytime a movie makes me go, like, number one, how in the world did they do that? And number two, I don't even think about how that's special effects. So, visually it's a masterpiece. The music is incredible. This is also one of my all-time favorites. So, yes, give Life of Pi a watch. You won't regret it. Next up, I have Devi. Also, I think I got this on a Criterion deal. It's a Bangladeshi film. It's in Bengali. I haven't watched it, but I heard it's a really cool film. So, no commentary. Akira. Haven't seen it. So I guess I'm a fraud because I haven't seen most of the films in my collection. No commentary on this one. Let's see. Shadow. This is a really good Chinese film. Lots of good twists, lots of good cinematography and action. I'll rewatch at some point in the future. Ghost in the Shell. Very good. Very good commentary on transhumanism. I think some other films do it better. I know some people like really love this movie, and I know some people say like they kind of undermine it. I'm kind of in between. I really liked it, but I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite films. Definitely worth keeping. Next up, the tour de force, Parasite. Enough said. This film is incredible. Incredibly fun, balances a ton of different tones, really good characters, really good commentary, really funny moments. Like I said, the way it balances all these tones, like some of it is gut-bustingly hilarious. Some parts of it are, jaw-droppingly disturbing. And this director, Bong Joon-ho, which I have two of his other movies right here. So yeah, Parasite, check it out if you haven't watched it. One of his other two movies I have, The Host. This is a really fun monster movie. Same guy as in Parasite, the actor, gives a really good performance. I like his relationship with his daughter and all that, how he has to, the monster has stolen her and he has to go and find her. I think that's a really good point. I like his relationship with his brother and his sister and his father. And you see the, there's an absent mother in the household. So he, there's just something that was lacking there. But yeah, also I like what it's doing with the whole, this virus is fake and all this. So like conspiracy theorists actually would really like this film. I probably have to check if Jay Dyer has done a Jay's analysis of it. Probably not, but I'll hope so. If not, I'll do a super chat and I'll recommend it to him. Now, my last Bong Joon-ho film, Mother. Also very suspenseful, some parts funny, some parts disturbing. Really good soundtrack, by the way. I like the sort of guitar theme that plays in the beginning and the end of the film. Very tragic, very also kind of hopeful. It's just, there's something about the Bong Joon-ho films where it's just kind of, you don't know what to think. It's very shocking, polarizing, like all of his films. I love the characters in it. I did a podcast actually on this one, and the host too. We did one, so I'll link those. If not, you could find them. Check out all of these Bong Joon-ho films. Next, I have 2 Miyazaki films. Spirited Away, incredible. Don't love it as much as some other people hold it dear to their hearts. There's not really anything I have wrong with it. I don't know, it just doesn't resonate with me as much as some other kids' movies. Very excellent, and I highly recommend you check it out. Next up, I have Princess Mononoke. Really love this one. I really love its honesty about, industrialization, modernism, and the destruction of nature. I really like all of that. And it shows how, I think Pilgrim's Pass actually pointed this out, that an intelligent thing it points out where like it's just trying to be as honest as possible. Whereas like, okay, this destruction of nature and all this stuff and this modernization, at least, women get treated better and whatnot, which I don't necessarily agree with, but you see what I'm saying. I think it has something for everyone to like in it. And the last of my Oriental collection is Death Note, complete series. This is my favorite anime of all time and one of the only animes I've ever watched. Love the characters. I love all of the animisms in it. There's just so much iconic stuff, so much hilarious stuff, so much disturbing stuff. Very, very polarizing, like I said. It has good commentary on, is this okay, is this not okay? I personally don't think it's okay. Maybe I'll do an analysis of it. I think it's just as good. You can watch it either way, English or Spanish. Sorry, not English or Japanese, because I think both ways are just as iconic. I think all of the stuff in English, because some English dubs in anime are just, like they're second to the Japanese version and they're just kind of really half-assed. But I think this one, the acting and the lines and the word choices, I think they really thought it out well. Like I'll take a potato chip and eat it, all that stuff. It's great. The aesthetic is incredible. Soundtrack, incredible. I love how you could just play that with a regular band. Like they could literally play a regular band could play the entire score of Death Note. Yes. Maybe I'd have to go back and double check maybe that there's some sort of, Eastern Taoism dualism stuff going on here. But you can see this in the cover of the, opposition, reality is fundamentally in tension. But, this is incredible. I think after a certain character dies, it gets weaker, but it's still good. Yes, so I think Your Movie Sucks pointed this out, and I 100% agree with him. This is the anime for people who don't like anime. So, next up, I have my Christopher Nolan, Ridley Scott, and James Cameron, other kind of miscellaneous films here and there. First up, I have, and Denis Villeneuve, Let's see, first up, I have my James Cameron collection. Aliens, really good 80s action movie. I think you could definitely tell that this one came out in the 80s as opposed to the predecessor. Still really good. I love what it has to say about motherhood. Great action scenes, great set pieces, great costume design. Yeah. And then the next I have Terminator and Terminator 2. I actually like the first Terminator a little bit better. I like the more grounded, intimate feeling. I love it. It feels really like an independent film, you know, like an indie film. Because I know a lot of the shots they got in the film and these sequences were filmed illegally, which is pretty interesting. Just certain things like James Cameron was like, hey, let's film over there really quick, and they did, and that's just incredible. That's not all the reason why I like it. I don't know. I also like having Arnold as the bad guy. I think that's just more fitting. I still think Terminator 2 is really good. Really iconic stuff in this. Yeah, I love both of them. I just think I like the first one a little bit better. After that, we have my Nolan collection. So first off, in the Nolan collection, I forgot to mention James Cameron. I'm missing Avatar, Titanic, True Lies. I haven't seen any of those. Don't have any opinions on them. Christopher Nolan, I have The Prestige. There's a really good movie about revenge and how it can just totally consume you. You know, I love Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman's performances in them. I like all of the set pieces and whatnot, the drama. Really good twist, by the way. Next up, I have Interstellar. I agree with the premise of the film and the point it's trying to say about true love, even though I don't think it has to be that, you know, how would you say, ham-fisted, obvious, in-your-face, cheesy. But yeah, and Anne Hathaway is annoying. I don't need her to explain to me that true love is the most powerful force in the world, right? I think they could have done a more creative way to do that. A lot of people make fun of Matthew McConaughey and his like crying in this. I actually really like that. I think that's really powerful, and I connect with it a lot. Obviously, as a visual experience, this is incredible, and the organ theme by Hans Zimmer really brings you into it. Watching this in 4K is really a treat. Let me see. Inception. This is actually my brother's favorite film. I really liked it. I remember I haven't seen it since I was in high school. I liked it then, but I remember being a little bit confused by it. Really have to watch it again, even though I'm sure I would really love it. Let's see, next up. Sorry, I'm a bit too close to the screen. That's a little bit better. Next up, we have Tenet. I haven't watched this yet. I have the disc, but yeah, I don't even remember what this was about. Don't tell me. All right, and then I have Dunkirk. Really solid film. I really like this as a historical film. I like it as a period piece, as like a, you know, as a war film. It hits all those marks. A lot of people say it's not rewatchable. I think it really is. I'd really like to go back and watch this. This is a really unique experience. Yeah. And then last but not least, I have the Dark Knight trilogy. I personally like Batman Begins the best. I think The Dark Knight is a better film, but like in terms of objectivity, but if you're talking about my opinion, which one I would rather just sit down and watch, I would rather sit down and watch Batman Begins. The Dark Knight Rises is okay. There's a lot of things in it that I think are great. Lots of great action. There are parts of it where I was really into it. It was really gripping. But obviously there's a lot of parts about it that just don't work and are really confusing and convoluted. But yeah, this is one of the best trilogies ever made. Next up, let's see, to continue the sort of Cameron action collection. I know this is not directed by James Cameron. It's directed by John McTiernan, who directed the Die Hard films. But yeah, this one is incredible. I rewatched this recently. I love how it goes from that. It's sort of like a like a badass action movie, and then just little by little it turns into a horror movie. And I think that just it does that so well. That's why sometimes I think of this as almost like a horror movie. I was watching this with my wife recently, and there are parts where she was really scared. Yeah. But Arnold is obviously great in this. Get to the chopper and all that. This is iconic Arnold. Let's see. Next up, I have. Sorry, way too many movies. My Denis Villeneuve collection. Enemy. This is a really good film about fidelity and sexuality and whatnot. I really would like to rewatch it. I remember it being confusing, but I don't know. It's just because it's Denis Villeneuve, it has a lot of those elements in there that it'll keep it coming back, and I'll definitely rewatch this in the future. Love Jake Gyllenhaal in it. See, Dune. I haven't watched this yet. I've heard mixed things about it. I'm still open to liking it. I'll give it a watch in the future, I guess. Arrival, really good film for language bros, which I'm one of them. I like Amy Adams in this. I like Jeremy Renner in this. This proved to me that he's more than just Hawkeye. Yeah, good movie about understanding and whatnot. I wish, this movie looks good, but I wish Roger Deakins would have been the cinematographer, but still looks great. Let's see, I have Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049. I love both of them. Which one I like better? I really don't know. I think both of them are phenomenal. Both look incredible. There's actually not a lot of complaints I have with it. I know a lot of people in the first movie complain about the relationship between Deckard and the woman. I can't remember what her name was. I think it's great because that feeds into the idea that he's a replicant and whatnot. I know that's hard for the normies to swallow, but he is, and this movie literally confirms it. Yeah, so these are fantastic, really good dystopian films about transhumanism. This will definitely go, if I make a list of all those, these will definitely be in those. Let's see, next up, I have my Ridley Scott films. Prometheus, really underrated. I really like, then again, the transhumanism and this sort of gross, like interspecies, cross-species hybridation, just filth, nastiness, and just really disturbing stuff. I'm not saying I like that, you weirdos. But I really like this showing how it's bad. I also like the, I think Shaw was the name of the religious person. I think they really handled that well. Yeah, and I like the aesthetic of it. I never really understood why people didn't like this. Well, I kind of do, but yeah, I think this is great. Oh, and also I think it's very, I think it does a really good job of being independent from Alien. I know a lot of people say that that there's parts of it that are dependent on Alien, and those are the worst parts. I don't really agree with that. I think you can watch this as totally a unique and independent experience, and I think it works in that regard. Next up is The Martian. I remember this being endearing when I was in high school. Actually, no, when I was in middle school was actually when it came out. I haven't watched it since then. I don't know if it hold up. Next is Gladiator. Really like the historical setting in Rome. The music is really good. I love Maximus, and I love his relationship with, like the revenge and how he's trying to get revenge on Commodus, because Marcus Aurelius said he was the rightful emperor and whatnot. Great set pieces, great action, great costume design, great performances. What else could you ask for? I know a lot of people say it's really generic. I don't care. It's a fun movie. Last up, in my Ridley Scott's, I have Alien, the 40th anniversary steelbook. This is one of my favorite films of all time. And Alien Covenant. I have yet to watch this. I got this as a deal. You get both of them for a certain price. And I wanted Alien, so that's why I have both. So I wouldn't be able to comment on Alien Covenant. And then I have some kind of miscellaneous Do the Right Thing. This is the only Spike Lee film I've seen. I think this is fantastic. I think it's hilarious. I think it's got a lot of iconic characters, moments. Like I said, just parts of it are gut-bustingly hilarious. Really good. I like how you see the different flavors of that Brooklyn neighborhood. There's like the Puerto Rican side, and then you got the black side, and then you have the Italian side and whatnot. I don't know if there's any Jewish stuff in it, but regardless, I think this also gives an honest depiction of the nature of man, how there's, like in every single group of people, it's not like one group of people is racist and the other one is not. It shows that in every single ethnicity, every single people group, there's good, there's bad apples. Some people are racist, some people are not. And I love how it shows the good and the bad. It gives everyone the benefit of the doubt. And I think that's really good, really important. This film will go a long way, in my opinion. Next up, I have my 2 Wes Anderson films. I don't have any more, even though I've seen some other ones, and I think I should get some of the other ones. Fantastic Mr. Fox, utterly astonishing, jaw-dropping stop-motion animation. For those of you who don't know, I adore stop-motion animation. I think it's so charming. I love just seeing I love appreciating all the hard work that goes into it. Story's really good too. Yeah, great cast. I really like the voices in these. Yeah, this is a great movie for kids and adults. And then next, I have Grand Budapest Hotel. Great movie. As you can see, most of the movies I have are really good. But I love Ray Fiennes. I love what's his name, like Mustafa or whatever his name is, the mentor at the hotel. I love the sort of storybook, dreamy feel it has, and it's whimsical, where it's like, okay, this guy is recounting a story, and then in the story, this guy is recounting a story. Like, it's just, I really think the Wes Anderson style lends itself really well to this kind of story, and to Fantastic Mr. Fox too. There's a lot of great action. The music too, really good by Alexandre Desplat. Yeah, this movie is really good. Lots of great suspense, lots of great humor. Yeah, there's honestly nothing else like it. I think it's just incredible. Yeah, so that's that. Next up, I have some foreign films and then some miscellaneous. Starting off, I have 2 Scandinavian films. The Hunt. This is a really good movie. Very sad, very tragic, very disturbing at times, but I think it's really worth watching. You just see the destruction of this really high trust, high loving community in Denmark. Yeah, obviously Mads Mikkelsen's incredible in it. This is highly worth the watch. Next up is The Seventh Seal. Very good movie about nihilism and existentialism. Yeah, Ingmar Bergman is the man. So that's the 2 Scandinavian films I have, and then the 1 French film I have, Fantastic Planet, or Le Planète Sauvage. Really bizarre. I like the art style in it. Probably have to give it a rewatch. Next up, I have 3 Russian films. I have Tarkovsky's Stalker. Very, yeah, I'll put it at that. Watch it, please. I can also see how he inspired Iñárritu and Cuarón in his cinematography and all that. Next up is Come and See. I remember watching this and not wanting to do anything fun ever again after watching this. Don't know if I'd recommend it. Excellent though. And then, last but not least, is Andrei Rublev. This movie is like a 20 out of 10. I think this is probably the best film I've ever seen. If you want to talk about just in terms of pure quality, objectivity, not my opinion, even though this still would be in my top 20 favorite films, I think not favorite, but just best, greatest in terms of quality. This movie might be the best I've ever seen in my life. I don't think anything quite compares to this. Highly recommend watching this. If you haven't seen it or even heard of it, it has a lot to say about art and perseverance and depression. Even this movie is just incredible. Yeah. Next up is Dead Man. I really like this movie. I actually really like Johnny Depp in this movie. I like the funny Native American character who guides him in his journey to the spirit realm. Really good commentary about westward expansion here in America, and Manifest Destiny, right? And just what was it like at that time in the Wild West. This was on like the borderlands and whatnot. Yeah, this is a really interesting movie by Jim Jarmusch. Then, next I have Mad Max Fury Road. Really lots of fun. I think it kind of drags at like the transition from the second to the third act, but it's really fun. I don't really have much to say beyond that, other than that it's this sort of, recreation of like the Handmaid's Tale evil, like pre-modern times, right after the apocalypse, like what leftists think it is, which is there's kind of truth to that. But yeah, really well-made film. Next I have Uncut Gems. Haven't seen this, can't comment on it. Next is The Thing, probably my favorite horror movie ever made. Love all of the practical effects, love Kurt Russell, I love Keith David in it. I actually like Keith David in almost everything he's in. Yeah, this is just a classic horror film, and the poster is obviously one of the best and most iconic. Next, I have Shaun of the Dead. I remember not being too keen on this one. I don't know, maybe it's just not my thing. Maybe I'd rewatch it. I don't know. I don't have any other Edgar Wright. I don't really like most of Edgar Wright's movies. I don't like, what's his name? Scott Pilgrim. I don't really like that very much. I think maybe the other ones I might like. Baby Driver I'm interested to see. But I don't know, I'll be open to it. Spaceballs. This is a classic, hilarious. Great movie to watch with your dad and drinking a few beers. Mel Brooks is just, he's the best with comedy and whatnot. Yeah, and I love how it makes fun of Star Wars in a really, constructive way. It's very good constructive criticism. Yeah, if you want a good laugh, check this one out. And then I have two Coen Brothers films. I have No Country for Old Men. Obviously one of the best movies of the 21st century so far. Love how there's no music in it to sort of illustrate the nihilistic worldview that the film is presenting, which I don't agree with. I don't agree with this conclusion that the movie is presenting, but I think it does an excellent job presenting that, of just the meaningless, vacuous universe where the character who does the right thing is punished and the character who does the good thing, who does the wrong thing is rewarded. just because that's just what it is. It's just an amoral, vacuous universe. And the villain, obviously, is one of the best ever. Like I said, just showing that meaningless, nihilistic, like it's very disturbing, like it's almost like the Winston and O'Brien in 1984, right, where O'Brien is just the literal embodiment of pure evil, of just that he does not care about the truth. He does not care about what is right or wrong. If you point out a contradiction to him, he's just like, yeah, I know. I don't care. Like, you think that I care about what is true, right? Because that's the whole point of Anton Chigurh is like, yeah, okay, call it. And if it lands on this thing, I kill you. If it doesn't, then I don't kill you. Well, why do you do that? I don't know. I just do it. Well, that's wrong. I know. I don't care. He just does not care, right? And that truly is disturbing. Yes. Excellent. And then after this, I have Inside Llewyn Davis. I think this movie is fantastic, phenomenal. I remember watching it and just being so wowed. Like, the cinematography was so good. Oscar Isaac was really good. I like the Greenwich Village folk music aesthetic. Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while. I really do want to watch it. I don't think any opinions would change. Maybe they will, I don't know. But this is a fantastic movie. That does it for that collection. Here I have Mel Brooks, David Fincher, and the other guy. I don't remember him off the top of my head, but we'll figure it out when I get to those movies. Here is Mel Brooks. Passion of the Christ. Might be a little bit too violent for my taste, but I think it does a good job of showing the reality and the weight, of Christ's sacrifice. This is not my definitive version of Jesus Christ in film. I think the Franco Zeffirelli, Jesus of Nazareth is better. That's my go-to, what I think of when I think of Jesus in film. I know a lot of people crap on this movie, but I still think it's good. Let me see, next. Hacksaw Ridge. Really, I don't know. Yeah, Mel Gibson has a really, he has a real talent for showing violence, and it's not glorified, and it's not, it's a very unique way he does of showing it. Yeah, I think Andrew Garfield is really good in this film. I think his southern accent is really endearing and it's convincing. I like Vince Vaughn in it. Yeah, this is probably one of my more favorite war movies, even though I typically don't like war movies very much. Next up, I have Braveheart. I remember I watched the first half of this movie and then I fell asleep in the middle, not because it was boring, but just because I was super tired. So I still need to watch the other half of the movie. I remember the first half of what I watched was great. Yeah, Mel Gibson also as an actor really shines here. And then my last of Mel Gibson that I own is one of my all-time favorites, Apocalypto. I'm of the opinion that you could be any age, any ethnicity, any job, any IQ level, as long as you are a man, you will like this movie, right? As long as you're a man, whether you're smart, dumb, working, not working, educated, not educated, it does not matter. You will find something to like in this movie. I did a podcast with Jason about this. I think this is just one of the most palatable, universally appealing films for men. I'm not saying a woman wouldn't like it. I'm not saying this is a man-only movie. That's not what I'm getting at. But I just think this movie does a really good job of appealing to so many different demographics. Yeah, no, this is one of my favorite and also the best movies, I think, ever. Next up, I have my Fincher collection. Gone Girl. Haven't watched it, don't know what it's about. Social Network. I have that weird cover where it just has the words right there. I think it's kind of unique though. I like this cover. I think this movie is excellent. I really love that soundtrack, that kind of digital soundtrack, but it's not like the cringe 80s, like, ooh, like, you know, that kind of stuff. Jesse Eisenberg's incredible. Andrew Garfield's incredible. I really like the pacing of the film. I like how it goes back and forth between the trial and going back into when they were actually getting the idea down for the Facebook. Justin Timberlake is also excellent in it. I think it really resonates with that kind of early 2000s to late 2000s kind of era where we were really getting into the tech world with Apple and Microsoft and whatnot. So yeah, I think this movie is very, very important. Next up in my Fincher collection is Fight Club. I do like this. I do like how it shows the sort of, you know, red pill, like, okay, I see how this modern life, this just isn't it, to, you know, like this alt-right, weird sort of collectivistic terrorism. I love how it shows that pipeline. Yeah, but I also do like how it craps on modern life. I'm not like I am an anti-modernist, but not in the ways that most people would think. I'd kind of describe myself more or less as like a Tolkienist. Yeah, but I don't think this is one of my favorite Finchers. I think my favorite Fincher is probably Social Network or the, what's it called, Seven, which I actually don't own. Let's see, last of the Fincher. Wait, did I say Kubrick or Fincher? Sorry, I meant to say Fincher. Last of Fincher I own is Zodiac. I think maybe it was a little too long, but then again, whatever. Maybe I'd have to watch it again. I really like the subtleties of the writing and the characters. I think this is some of the most underrated just character dynamics. I think you could really feel what the characters are like Robert Downey Jr. and Jake Gyllenhaal and Mark Ruffalo. I really like how you see how it's not about the actual Zodiac killer. It's about the people going after him and the toll it takes on their, you know, their spiritual and psychological health. Yeah, lots of great horror elements. Also really good CGI in it that a lot of people, like, when they realize that was CGI, they're blown away. And I agree with them. I love the San Francisco setting. I think San Francisco is very endearing in a lot of ways. Not now, but, you know, historically speaking. Yeah, this is a really, really must watch. Now I have the two, what's the director's name? Robert Eggers. Okay, I have The Lighthouse. I think when this came out, I was kind of in that Reddit, like I was over-exaggerating too much. I was overhyped about how good it really was. I don't think it's bad. I really do need to rewatch it to reconsider my feelings on it. So yeah, I really do like the language and the shot composition in this. I love the sort of poetic New England old colonial speech. It's really, really fascinating. And then the next I don't own The Witch. I watched the first half of it. I remember being a wuss and I didn't want to watch the rest. The next is The Northman. I think that this, similar with, you know, Silence, I wish this would have been in some sort of Scandinavian language, whether it be Old Norse or one of the modern ones like, you know, Danish or Swedish, but it still gets the job done. There's parts of it that are kind of weird and take me out of the movie, but it's a solid fantasy, you know, film, I think. I know it's just The Lion King or Hamlet or whatever, but I like that in the true Scandinavian setting. The action is great, shot composition is great. I thought this was a really surprising film for Robert Eggers to capture, this like sort of epic fantasy film, but I think he did a really good job at it. So that's that one. So next up, I have my Latin American cinema. Apart from Coron and Iñárritu that I already showed, sometimes I like to include those in this collection, but I like to just put those directors by themselves. So starting off the Latin American and or Spanish language collection, I have Bacurau is a Brazilian film about like an alien invasion or something. As you can see, it's unopened. I haven't watched it. I think my Brazilian friend recommended this to me, but I don't know. I'll give it a watch in the future, definitely. Next up is The Executioner, or El Verdugo. I think I'd have to rewatch it, given it, you know, my better acquaintance of world events and geopolitics. Now, it's, as I understand, it's kind of a critique of like the Franco era politics and values, about this guy who, like, he has to, based on like the Franco dictatorship, needs to take upon the job of his father-in-law, which was an executioner, and he doesn't want to do it. But I can't exactly remember. I thought the aesthetic was really endearing. I love the black and white and whatnot. I thought the main actor's performance was really good. Maybe it's a libtard movie, but I don't know. I'll give it a watch in the future. This poster is really cool. Next up is Del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth. Also, I thought this was going to be the kind of movie that I would have been head over heels for. A lot of people think that this is like my favorite movie. I remember really enjoying it, but it wasn't my favorite thing. I don't think it's bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's a really solid film, but I don't know, maybe it was just kind of, it kind of didn't have that X factor. I don't know. Costume design's really good, and the main theme is really good. Next up, I have Japón by Carlos Regadas. I remember not particularly liking this. I thought the aesthetic was interesting, but it didn't have that flair that I wanted it to. I might give this one away. I'll probably give it another chance in the future. I don't know. I remember there was just too many elements in the movie where I was like, this just doesn't work. Next up is, actually these are unintentionally corresponding films, is El Sur, the South. Never seen this. As I understand, it kind of displays the sort of differences between the north and the south of Spain. I'd really like to watch this, but haven't seen it yet. I got this because it looked cool. And then next up, also haven't seen it, got it because it looked cool, is El Norte, the North, right? They're corresponding, and I actually didn't intend for them to be together, but they are. It's about this these Guatemalan brother and sister who, it just shows them trying to get to America and whatnot. I've heard a lot of great things about it. I remember my Guatemalan friend told me that this was very good. But then again, haven't seen it, but I will definitely be giving this a watch in the future. Ooh, and next up, I have City of God, Cidade de Deus. This is in my top 20, probably actually 10 films of all time. This movie just shows the absolute chaos and just all of the filth and the scum and the evil in this, in the City of God, which is this neighborhood, a favela of Rio de Janeiro. And you see just the corruption and how that enables it, but then also the people give in and whatnot. And you just see also, like Amores Perros, you just see the destruction of like man, woman, and child, right? Like there's no concept of the nuclear family at all in these communities. Like it's all just this nihilism, drugs, and no one has any family, right? And it's like you just kind of wonder, like, where did they go? And you don't really know. And I think that adds to the sort of ambiguity and just the moral decay of the society. I really do need to do an analysis of it. This is one of my favorite films of all time. Love the characters, love the soundtrack, just love the commentary. And I do like how this title itself, City of God, echoes the famous work by St. Augustine of the same title. I think that was intentional, and they do actually, even if the filmmakers intended or didn't, it really shows both the thesis of St. Augustine's work are echoed in this work of just, you have the contrast of the city of man, which is very decadent and morally bankrupt, and then you have the city of God, or the city of heaven, that comes down and must colonize the city. Sorry, I don't know why I said it like that. The city of God must colonize the city of man to bring forth godliness into the world through the church, through the institutions like, the universities, hospitals, and whatnot, and setting those good examples to bring people to heaven, right? And just showing that there is hope at the end of the day. And I think this movie does show that there is hope, given what happens at the end of the film. But this movie is just incredible. There's a couple things I have wrong with it, but just maybe the pacing at similar to what I said about Fury Road. From the second to the third act, I remember dragging just a little bit, but other than that, like, and part of the flair and the energy kind of peters off a little bit in that time, but I think it still is incredible. It's at least a 9 out of 10. Let's see. Next up is Sin Nombre. Really good film. Really good. It's almost like a Mad Max Fury Road, but like a Latin American version of this Honduran girl that tries to go all throughout Latin America to get to the U.S. And she has this unintended run-in with MS-13 and all that. Really good writing, really good characters, really good aesthetic. And just something about these Latin American movies. They just, I don't know, they hit it home, and they really blend like the natural and the supernatural in a natural way, which is pretty funny. Great film. Next up, I have 3 movies that I actually still have not seen. One of them I've seen. I have The Spirit of the Beehive, or El Espíritu de la Colmena, Spanish film. Haven't seen it, I don't know. Next up, I have Simon of the Desert, or Simón del Desierto. I thought this one was really interesting. I'm probably gonna watch it again. It's only like 45 minutes. I think it's actually like a short film. I remember it being really surreal and bizarre and just interesting. I'll definitely give it a rewatch in the future. And then, last but not least, I haven't even opened it up yet, is Auto da Compadecida. It's a Brazilian, I think it's a mini-series about these 2 men that the Virgin Mary appears in front of them. But other than that, I don't really know. I don't even know if this is going to play on my Xbox. But whether or not it's blasphemous or not, I'll have to find out. It has the same guy as Sinaura from City of God. So at some point, I'll figure this out. I'll give it a chance, and I'll give my opinions on it. Up next, I have my sort of pop culture-y films. I don't know how else to describe it. Just very mainstream movies, but are still, really solid, and they're kind of must-haves. Okay, so first I have my Spielberg collection. Up first, Hook. I think this is a really good family film, just because it shows the importance of family and how kids need their parents, parents need their kids, vice versa. Really like the performances. Robin Williams just gives an unforgivable, really heartfelt performance, and obviously Rufio and the Lost Boys. It's a really, really fun movie. Give this one a watch. Next up, I have Schindler's List. This is obviously great. I resonate with it a lot, given my Jewish heritage. There's parts of it that are really disturbing. Really, you just really feel it, I've only seen it once, but I would definitely watch it again. This is just incredible. Next up is Jaws. I really like this movie, even though I think some of Spielberg's films are better, but I think this is an important film. I also think it's not really the shark stuff that I think is entertaining. The stuff in the movie that I think is really entertaining and that I like to watch is the whole New England kind of fisherman stuff. I like the character of, was his name, Quint? I think it's yeah, Quint, I think is his name. I really like that kind of sailor, New England type, like he's that shark hunter, really ruggedness, and I like all the shanties that they sing. It's that's the parts of the movie that I really like. It's actually the human stuff that I think is more interesting, which is pretty interesting in and of itself. And I think I wouldn't say it's telling of the movie, even though I think that the shark stuff is really excellent. I'm not trying to downplay that, but I guess maybe that's unique because I think most people actually would like the shark stuff better, but I don't know. Maybe I'd have to talk to people more about what they think about the movie. It's very good. Next up, I have the Indiana Jones collection. I love the first three. I think they're very different experiences. The fourth one, I'd have to rewatch. I don't remember hating it. I thought it had some good stuff in it. I like the setting in it, but I remember it not being as good as the first three. I think out of the first three, I like Last Crusade the most. I like the locations the best. I like how they go to Venice and then they go to like that place where it's like on the Austro-German border, that castle, and then also they go to Petra and all that. I really like those settings. I really like the Christian message and how he wins because of his faith and whatnot. I thought that was really good. I really resonated with it. Yeah, these are great fun. Next up, I have, this is the Spielberg box set collection. It comes with, let me see, it comes with Duel. Duel is Spielberg's first movie. That's actually a movie I think people should check out. It's really intriguing. It's about this guy who's being chased on the highway by, he has no clue, like it's just this big truck. He has no clue why they're chasing him or why they're trying to kill him. Yeah, it's really entertaining. The Sugarland Express, I have not seen. Jaws, it has that. I've never talked about that. It has 1941. Never seen it. E.T. is on this. I think E.T. is okay. I remember never particularly being attached to that one. Always, I've actually heard not good things about that, but I don't know. I'd have to give it a watch. And then it comes with Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park: The Lost World. I love both of those movies. I think those movies are some of the best in terms of filmmaking. I love the way it blends practical and computer effects. I think it was at the perfect time for that. I love what it says about this sort of the dangers of this sort of like violation of nature and like bringing back old species and how that's basically magic. The movie basically shows that and how it's wrong, and like yeah. Then obviously the dinosaur stuff is incredible. The characters in it are really colorful and entertaining and have witty things to say and provide different perspectives, because like you got Malcolm, who's like the science guy, and then you have the Grant and what's her name, Ellie, I forgot what her last name is. They're kind of just the average folk of like he's like a generic man, she's a generic woman, and yeah, and how they're just like, well, I mean, this is cool, but I don't know, like this, how can we have an idea what's gonna happen? And then you have the boomer, like, spend no expense and all that stuff, and then you have like the greedy lawyer who's just in it for the money. Like, I like how you see all the different perspectives of this endeavor of resurrecting dinosaurs. Yes, which is magic, by the way, like I mentioned. But yeah, so that was a really good bang for my buck. Next up, that concludes my Spielberg collection. I have Ender's Game. I think this is a really underrated sci-fi action film. I really like I think the set pieces, or maybe they're in other films, but from what I can see, I think they're pretty unique, and I like them. Like, I like how they have all those battle training sequences at the academy. Those, and like you have like the mock battles between the two teams. I really like that. Those are entertaining. I thought Ender, he was interesting, even though maybe he fell flat a little bit at sometimes, but I don't know, I'd have to rewatch it. I remember really liking it. The special effects was actually incredible. It's actually kind of downplayed, or people don't, it's unknown how good it is. Like the actual scenes with the aliens, it's unbelievable. Yeah, and I thought the soundtrack was pretty good too. But yeah, I think this is an underrated film. Next up is Apollo 13. I remember liking it when I saw it when I was a kid. I haven't seen it since. I would have to watch it again. Next up is Adrian. Is Rocky. I really like this. I really like actually the slow pace. You really get into the characters and the motivations and whatnot. I like that sort of 70s Philly, just how rough and tough it was back then. Yeah, and obviously Sylvester Stallone hits it home with this one. Next up, I have the Spider-Man films. I have, let's see. I have the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. I like all three of these. I think they're really entertaining. Yeah, I like the action in them. I like the characters, like the story, I've said. And then I have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Really, really good visuals. And I thought the sequel was really good too. So that's that collection. And last but not least, I have my kids and family collection. So here I have some TV shows. I have Avatar, The Last Airbender complete series. I think this is really, really good stuff. Love the character Zuko. He's one of my favorite characters in all stories. I think the first season is okay. It's kind of just funny kiddie stuff, but then I think the second season, like halfway through the second season, I'm like, okay, this is great stuff. And then the third season especially is when the show turns from great to fantastic. Great stuff. I'll probably show my kids this whenever they're born. Next up, I have the Teen Titans complete series. I've never actually watched this. I remember playing the games on the Cartoon Network website when I was a little kid. But I've heard good things about it. Yeah, I'll give it a watch in the future. And then next up is The Princess Bride. This is a classic. I love all the one-liners and the character of Inigo Montoya. You killed my father, prepare to die. Is great, I love that character. I love all the characters in this. I love Andre the Giant, Fezzik and Vizzini, really good characters. Prince Humperdinck. This is just really, really great fantasy, drama, comedy stuff. It has a lot of different genres. It's funny. Some of it, it's like, is this serious? Is it not? Do you know? I do know, but then sometimes it's just great. And I love the Six-Fingered Man. He's a good villain. Lots of good stuff that it like I said, it's funny, it's scary, it's everything you could want in a sort of fantasy family film. Yep. Next up is Prince of Egypt, one of my all-time favorites. We did a podcast, Jason and I, on this one. Just incredible animation. I think this is the definitive story of Moses. We did a podcast on this one, and I'll link it. Next up is Land Before Time. I think this is a really good film. Has a lot of good messages. Parts of it are really, really sad, and you honestly want to cry, especially in the beginning with his mother. But then you see the kids being able to, stick together and whatnot, and it has a good sense of camaraderie to it. And I think the soundtrack and the song in it is really good. Yeah, this is a classic for me, and I'll be able to pass this on to the future generations. Next up, I have Finding Nemo. I think this is aesthetically incredible, really relaxing. I love the ocean aesthetic. There's a lot of nostalgia, actually, I draw from that, because I remember watching this, and then also we'd go to the local aquarium in New Orleans at the time. For you guys, if you're from New Orleans, the Audubon Aquarium, incredible. I remember seeing all this stuff there and just being totally just blown away, and just my imagination would run wild of all the stuff in the ocean, and it really just touches on that for me, and it's highly entertaining. I really like the characters. I know everyone says Dory is annoying. I don't care. I think she's good in this one. I think she's great. Actually, I like her relationship with Marlin. Yeah, and it also has that kind of Australian endearment to it in the part where he's in captivity. But yeah, this is a really great one. Next up is The Incredibles. I remember I rewatched this movie not too long ago, a few months ago, and just being just baffled in a good way of, like, this is a kid's movie? This is just an adult's movie that's animated. I thought the themes were really mature and really nuanced about, like, fidelity and and nostalgia and longing for the glory days and whatnot. I like the whole, like, kind of 60s aesthetic of, like, it has the kind of espionage kind of sound of, like, harkens to that kind of James Bond, Ian Fleming type aesthetic. And the different superheroes are cool. I like the powers. I like all the characters in it too. Incredible action scenes, really creative. Brad Bird has a really talented way of doing that. So yeah, this is incredible. That was actually unintended. Next up is Happy Feet. Obviously, this is one of those guilty pleasures for me. Not that the movie's bad, because I think it's really well made. The action is incredible, soundtrack incredible, the dance numbers really well choreographed, and I love how they do it with the penguins and the tapping the feet and how they're I don't know, it's really good, and them swimming around, going on the glaciers. It's really well done. But obviously the conclusion of the film and how, like, it thinks that, like, that's what I am and what I believe, like, it's anti sort of religious and or Christian themes to it, and showing how it's all like a superstition made up by, bitter old people that can't get in bed and are just jealous. It's hilarious, like, just the stuff. And then it gets, like, the UN gets involved. I'm just like, some of it I'm just like, what even is this? Like, this is a kid's movie? Like, how? And then you have the weird, like, guru, love doctor, Robin Williams character. Like, that's why the stuff that's bad in the movie is really bad, and it's, like, against everything I believe in. But part of me is just like, I'm so baffled that any of this was in a kid's movie. It's just entertaining to me. So I have to give it credit for that. Yeah, and Elijah Wood's in it, and I like him. So next up, I actually don't know why this was in this part of my collection, but yeah, I have American Graffiti by George Lucas. I think this was a nice sort of window into that 1950s post-World War kind of carefree culture. Yeah, I remember the soundtrack was really good. The vibe was really good. Don't really remember much beyond that, but I thought it was really good and it was really fun. I'll give this a watch in the future. Then I have Narnia. This is incredible. I think this is a very good adaptation of C.S. Lewis's novel. I really like the casting of Liam Neeson as Aslan, and I like the Four Pevensies as well. The special effects are really good. The action's really good. The score is really good. I think this was really, really well done and is a good iteration of Narnia. And then next up, I have some more animated films. I have the original Toy Story. I don't have 2 or 3, not that I don't like those movies. I think those are great. I just never got around to getting them for some reason. Toy Story 1 is obviously revolutionary. It's really funny too. Like, rewatching this, there's parts of it that are just really goofy, and they really have that good kind of balance of humor between Woody being the sort of, like, conniving, breaking the rules kind of guy, whereas and he's really, like, he's really kind of like a jokester, right? And then Buzz is the kind of, like, straight-laced, serious, like, follows the orders and whatnot. And that's how the comedy comes out really well. I love their relationship, and I really like it's sort of like this. The lessons you learn in these movies are really good. Like Woody learning, like, okay, I don't have to, like, just because, okay, like, he has this pride that Andy loves him more than other characters, but then all of a sudden, Andy moves along from him, to Buzz, right? And he has this new favorite this new favorite toy. And it's like, and then I like what he learns is that like, well, not only does Andy love all his toys, but it makes me realize that just because he loves another toy more than me, like that doesn't mean that he doesn't love me. And I think that that was really well done. Then I have my personal favorites, Kung Fu Panda 1 and 2. I don't own the third one because I think the third one is kind of weak. I remember I rewatched it and I thought, okay, this wasn't as bad as I thought it was, but it's really weak, especially coming off of the emotional heights of Kung Fu Panda 2. Kung Fu Panda 1 is great, but the second one I think is really just a masterpiece. The story is so well written. The emotion, the scale of it is just baffles you. Like, how is this so good? I'll probably do a video just in dedication to this film because this is one of my all-time favorites. But yeah, these are really solid family movies. Now, next up is How to Train Your Dragon 1 and 2. I like the first one significantly better than the second one. The second one I think is still really good, even though, and I think the third one, which I don't have, has this problem even more, whereas the second one had to rely more on like the dumb kiddie humor, which I think has its place, but it can just be a little bit obnoxious and could take me out of the movie somewhat here. But I think this movie's still incredible. I love the stakes in it and the stuff that happens. Like, it shows kids that like, yeah, like sometimes stuff just happens, you know, and that's just a part of life and you have to make the best of it. And the first one is just really, really good lesson in like, it's a good father-son story. It's a good kind of, you know, bridging between two cultures movie. Hiccup is a really funny character, and all his colleagues in the village, I think they're really well done too. Great aesthetic of that Scandinavian Viking kind of thing with the dragons and whatnot. Great action, the flight sequences alone are just incredible. You could have those as just like a short film and that would be fantastic. So yeah, these are great. Next up is Coco. Love the Dia de Muertos aesthetic. I love the songs, I love the story. Miguel is just such a nice boy. He's a really good character. You feel for him. And then I love the message of family and remembering the dead and why it's important. I think it has a good, colorful way of showing that. Yeah, this movie is great. And then probably the best Pixar in recent years, because honestly, I lost track of all the ones that have been out recently. Next up is another one of my personal favorites, Rango. I love this, just showing the like the end of that sort of Wild West era of the gunslingers and the outlaws and the honor and all that, to the sort of fake, you know, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Western culture that replaced this old culture. And the cinematography is great, the music is great. I love the way it's directed and the voice acting, and there's so much creativity in it. And it's also just so funny. I remember watching this by myself and just laughing out loud, which that's really hard to get someone to do, you know, just laugh by themselves. Yeah, and it's a great tale of heroism, and it has all of those kind of wild western kind of like blues and the you know, the saloon and all those kind of plays on all those tropes, but then it adds also kind of its own thing. This movie is truly, it's honestly a masterpiece to me. I think this movie is incredible. And then next up is probably my favorite Christmas movie, The Muppet Christmas Carol. Also, this is my definitive iteration of Charles Dickens's Christmas Carol. I love the original music in it. I think it's really underrated. Michael Caine as Scrooge, perfect casting, perfect performance, incredible. Tiny Tim, I think you really understand the character through, you know, Kermit is Bob Cratchit, and his, well, in the Muppet lore, his nephew, I forgot what his name is, but in in the story, his nephew plays his son, which was what's his name, is Tiny Tim. Yeah, and you really feel for it, and I like how you see the progression of Ebenezer Scrooge, and you see how, like, okay, he gradually warms up to the idea of Christmas, to the point of, okay, he actually accepts this, to the point where he will make things right. And this movie is incredible. This is the best Christmas movie in my opinion, just in all regards. Next up is Rio. I think this movie is really good, even though I think I like some of the other kids' movies in my collection. It's still really good. I like the Rio aesthetic. It has a lot of good set pieces and adventurous elements to it. But yeah, nothing really more to say about that. Well, I guess I must say I liked it more watching it again after having gone to Brazil. That added a lot to the experience. And then next up is another one of my personal favorites, Ratatouille. I love the French aesthetic. I love what it has to say about criticism and critics, and just how, like, and the actual nature of some sort of thing that we consume being good or bad. How much is that to do with it being because, like, it's something that we recognize as familiar? Is it nostalgic, or is it something new? Or like, it's I mean, obviously there's so much more to it than that, but I think this movie really gets that right. I love the performances. I think Linguini is hilarious. Yeah, this is also, just in terms of my family, this is a movie that we always like to go back and watch. Really, really good stuff. Next up, I have Nightmare Before Christmas. Very, very creative. I think this movie is really good. I like the sort of world building it does. It's not necessarily one of my favorites, even though that's not to downplay it all. I think this is a great film and stop motion. So there's a special place in my heart for stop motion. I really admire that. But yeah, I guess it's not a movie that I'm kind of dying to watch all the time, even though I don't think it's good. I like the music in it. Yeah. And then, and there's just cute little things here and there. It's creative, like I said. And then the last from my kids' collection is The Lion King. I have this nice 4K steelbook, really, really, really beautiful. This movie is just the story. I mean, it's literally the apology for monarchy and whatnot, and how, like, it requires the good, the virtuous king to bring peace to the land, and whatnot. Music is obviously incredible. Scar, Jeremy Irons, I love that. Simba, I know a lot of people say that they don't like Matthew Broderick. I do like him as Simba, showing how it's like he is kind of like a shell of his father, and that makes him feel bad. That's why he has that weaker voice, but then he eventually becomes more of the king he's meant to be. I like that. And then all the side characters are incredible. There's not a single character or thing or song or anything in this movie where it's like, oh, that's the weak spot. It's like, no, it's all good. Everything in this movie is incredible. Yeah, this is also one of my all-time favorites. And then this movie I didn't know where else to put it. It's Team America World Police. I'll probably talk about this on a podcast sooner or later. Really funny stuff, the South Park creators. So that's that collection. And last but not least, I have my Star Wars collection. I have most of the Star Wars movies, and my opinion overall of the franchise has kind of just gone down in recent years. There's really only one Star Wars property that I truly love, and I will keep watching it. I'll talk about that as we get to it. But let's see. I have Star Wars Rebels, season 1, 2, and 3. I think this is really underrated. I actually like it better than Clone Wars. Controversial opinion, unpopular opinion. Maybe I'll talk about that in the future. I really like the characters in this. I like the story. Yeah, I think it's a good show. Next off, the art style. I can see why people don't like that, but the story's good. Next off, I have, of the new Star Wars films, I only have Force Awakens and Last Jedi. I actually like these movies more than other people think. Force Awakens is a solid film. Not much rewatchability there. fun sequences. This one I like for its boldness and how it's like an FU to Star Wars fans and whatnot. Yeah. I don't own Rise of Skywalker because I thought that film was terrible. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, this is actually worth noting. I have the Harmy's Despecialized edition of the original Star Wars trilogy. I have A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. These are the original versions with no edits, no new CGI effects, no nothing, right? This is the original versions as they were released. This is something I'm very proud about. I don't know if you can even get it anymore, but yeah, no, these are great. Next up, I have actually this edition steelbook of the original prequels. So I have these were a limited edition release, I believe. So this is Phantom Menace. Then I have Attack of the Clones, and then Revenge of the Sith. Okay. Don't need to talk about the Star Wars prequels now. That'll take forever. And then we have my personal favorite Star Wars, anything and anything, is the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars series. This is borderline a masterpiece to me, if not a masterpiece. I did a podcast about this. I'll link it in this video. So yeah, that's my movie collection. I'm very proud about it. I was glad I was able to do this video. Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way. Probably won't be out for St. Patrick's Day, but today, as I'm recording this, it's St. Patrick's Day. I really appreciate you guys. I'm trying to make more content, varied content in the future. So please hit that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Yeah. I'll see you guys in the next one.